Hey there everybody, MasterLuki16 here, back again with another video. And today what I have is another curbside goodie. It is a late 90s Air King 9723 box fan. This is rather a really lucky find that I got a couple days ago because it's a, vintage fan. They don't make them like they used to, unlike the cheap modern day equivalent of box fans. So yeah. And this is a fan that I'm really happy to restore in its former glory, and it looks amazing. So let me give you a little backstory into behind this fan when I first found it and prior to restoring it. I found this on the curbside, waiting to be picked up by the trash as I was riding my bike. I bypassed it, but then I thought, I might have saw a vintage fan on the curb. And so sure enough, there was. And I was excited to see an Air King box fan from the 90s fresh on the curb. Well, not fresh, but rather a little bit dirty than usual. And so I grabbed it and I took it home. And so I just basically went to Dollar General shopping just to buy spray paint, because here's the condition of the fan before storing it, after finding it. So the first thing, and obviously, is that the fan itself is extremely dirty. I mean, by the time that I found this, the cages were covered with a lot of dirt, grime, and dust, including the blades and what everyone likes to call it, the Marco motor. Basically a motor that nobody makes anymore. Instead, we got cheap ass motors that break easily. And it was just completely covered up with all that dust and dirt. But surprisingly enough, after all the odds, it still works. Like, this motor didn't even die after a massive cloggage with a lot of dirt and the lack of cleaning. But it was seized up after testing it out. Like, it hummed, but it didn't move at all, so it was seized up and stuck. Yeah, and the frame was just, like, extremely rusty. Like, at the bottom of the frame it's like extremely filthy, like covered with dust and also entirely covered with a lot of rust. I didn't like the way it was all rusty, which is why I started to restore it to its former glory. By the time of starting to clean this, I took apart the motor and I cleaned out the dust and dirt, and I managed to get it unseized by adding a little bit of 3-in-1 red oil into a bearing and then wiping off the bottom bearing a little bit and using a fine Q-tip to get the remaining dirt out, and doing the same to the other part of the shaft. And after doing all this cleaning by getting all the dust out of there, it was ready to go. I put motor oil in it and it seemed to work. The next thing was cleaning up the plastic parts. So I took the blade out. The blade was the easiest, but the grills were really difficult. So I had to buy a degreaser in order to get all this dust and grime out. And it got most of it out. It might not have got all of it out, but it was the most I can do in any ways. And last but not least, the frame. So I had to clean it out by scrubbing all that dirt and grime right off of it before I could start sanding it and spray painting it. And the sanding part took me a long time, but I managed to get it done. And I also wiped off any of the remaining rust dust off of it so it can make way for spray painting. And I also spray painted the little knob dial because it was yellowed and I didn't like the way it liked that. And I gave it a new handle. And yeah, that was pretty much it. I put it back together, and it's back in its former glory, baby. Anyways, here is the fan. Pardon for the mess in the background. Anyways, here is Lo.
Jeez, I'm playing Roblox in my video.
Here's a medium. And now high. And yeah, so thanks for watching, and I'll see you in another video. Peace, guys.